one of the absolute rules of content making, and most especially YouTube, is you're never supposed to say, man, I haven't made a video in a while. And then I think a lot of times people say, well, if you're going to say that, you should probably come up with some cool reason why. Like, I've been working really hard on something. I haven't. Thing is, and it's not a bummer video, I promise. I deal with clinical depression, which is just like saying, if you wear glasses and you need a prescription. I deal with depression, and clinical depression, different than situational depression, just means that the chemicals in your body regulate you differently than what a neurotypical person might be, or in this case, a chemotypical person might be, but depression. But boy, it's not like, you can get type 1 diabetes or type 2. You can have situational depression, and I've been definitely going through that. And it's because there were a couple changes in my life, work-wise, that I did not anticipate, and I've just been kind of trying to deal with that. And in the process of it, I completed a work assignment, and what I thought was going to happen was I was going to have another thing kind of like right back to back with it, and that fell through. And so, out of a job. And this happens to lots of people. There's over 1 million tech jobs that have been lost this year in the US alone. I'm not part of that as such, but things just kind of fell a different way than I expected them to, and it's taking me a little more time to get there than not. The thing is, I haven't been a job seeker in forever. I ran my own company for like almost 20 years. And near the end, that was problematic because I was dealing with some clinical depression stuff near the end of that. Funny enough, what turned me back around was the pandemic. I somehow at the very start of the pandemic dug back in and started taking off again and trying to work on stuff, and then magically got a job that I didn't expect to have, because a friend reached out and said, hey, want to come help me be an executive at my company and do this thing? And I was like, sure. And it was great. But when you are seeking work and it's not quite working out, and when you're kind of like throwing a few things out to see what sticks and it's not working, it's a real chance over and over and over again to feel bad, to feel unwanted, to feel like you are not all that and not a bag of chips. And I just went from like 4 really fast-paced, solid years of like massive success, massive growth, all kinds of really cool work stuff, to silence and sort of like a sliding backwards and work-wise. And so that's why I haven't been doing the YouTube videos. Now, the plus is I have almost every day been going out and shooting photos. I've been doing photography as meditation almost every day, and I can talk to you about that because one concept in clinical depression is you're never better. You're just kind of managing a saw teeth, like sharp blade, up, down, up, down, up, down. And if things are great, you're up. If things aren't great, you're down. And managing it wise, I will say, I have sort of a 3-part process that has been helping me do better than I might have done if I were dealing with this a different way. And so there's 3 parts. There's observe, there's reflect, and there's share. I've been doing a lot of my sharing in writing because I am at my very nature a writer more than I am any other type of media maker. With photography, I have been observing. And so I've still been shooting lots of photos. Today, the day I'm recording this for you, I went and got sunrise at a lighthouse, and I went to a car show that was like amazing. It was just the best run one that I've ever seen, and just lots of really, seemingly nice people, and we don't all agree on everything, quite evidently, but you talk to them about cars and it's pretty interesting. And so, I've had great photography experiences. So that's the observe. The reflect, I write in my journal. So I've been reflecting, not just like, I don't like, when I say reflect in this case, I'm not like, I was at a car show and these are the things I learned at the car show. While you're doing this work, while you're meditating by looking through the lens, you think about other things. And so when I use my journal, that helps me reflect. when I get to share them, I have a newsletter. So I have a Substack newsletter. I'll put a link. It's about 7,000 subs, which in my heyday, my newsletter was like 24,000 subs or something like that. But over time, people are not as subscribed to newsletters, and I moved platforms. And so when you move platforms, you have to exclude certain people from coming over. So I'm building up, but 7,000 is pretty good. And I've been sending out newsletters. So that's the sharing. So observe, reflect, share. I've been using that method, and I think it's pretty good. And so there's two ways I think I'm using photography as meditation. One is, again, it just takes my hand off a smartphone. I'm just using a device that's made for one thing only. Well, I guess it's made for video as well, but a device that's made for capturing instead of just, all the other things the telephone could do. And so that's the meditation. I'm not touching my device in those moments. The reflecting, writing in my journal, etc., that's helping me a great deal. Because if you don't examine your life, if you don't kind of take what's in your head and put it out of your head for a minute and look at it on a page, you're missing a lot of opportunity. Because if we keep it inside, we just feel the things we're feeling. If we keep it inside, we don't get to look at it. We don't get to look for patterns either. Like if I look in my written journal and I say to myself, wow, I've been feeling this kind of a way for a while now, that's important too. You kind of should use some sense to look at your patterns, right? And then with sharing, the reason I made this video for you is because I'm sharing it doesn't always have to be super great. It does not always have to be double great. Sometimes we don't have to be perfect all the time. And so much about media making, especially YouTube, TikTok, social networks, we do everything to kind of show this amazing life because no one wants to be around someone when they're not having their best life. But I was thinking about this today. One thing that all humans find greatly attractive is confidence. Through all of the stuff that I'm dealing with, through my depression and all that, even when I'm feeling a little bit thumped by that sense that I'm not quite getting picked for the next project yet, I'm still very confident. I still feel very good about my prospects. I still feel very smart and that I can figure all this stuff out. It's just been taking me a little bit of work to get there. I think you can't get to confidence until you examine your life a bunch more. And so that's what I'm sharing with you today. And I hope you liked the pictures as well. You know how to reach me. My email is chris@chrisbrogan.com. As always, I'm going to get back on these videos again, and I'm going to share some really fun photography stuff and not just a chitty chat about clinical depression. Between now and then, though, make sure you be good to yourself.